What's up, guys? So this week has been super awesome for me because I have gotten to watch the continuation of two of my favorite franchises, Stranger Things with Season 3, which I binged, and Spider-Man Far From Home, which I just got to watch. And needless to say, I was incredibly pleased with both of these. Today, what I would like to do is go through and review both Stranger Things 3 and Spider-Man Far From Home. Now, I will be avoiding spoilers for both of these, but I'm not going to worry about anything prior. So if you haven't seen seasons 1 or 2, or the previous Marvel movies, be warned. Also, I'm going to be doing my Stranger Things review first. So, if you aren't really interested in that, I'm going to put a time right up here, and you can jump to that time to get straight to my Spider-Man Far From Home review. Now, without any further ado, let's just jump into Stranger Things Season 3. This season of Stranger Things was a wild ride from start to finish. It was a bigger story than either of the past two seasons, with a lot more moving parts, but I think the Duffer Brothers did a good job learning from their mistakes of the last season and keeping the story streamlined and making sure that every part was relevant to the overall story that the season was trying to tell. This made the season super easy to watch straight through because you don't have side journeys that feel empty. Everybody's part contributes to the main story. Now, Stranger Things' big marketing tagline was "One summer can change everything." And I was thinking, yeah, like every show kind of advertises something like that in a big season, but didn't really think much of it. But boy, is that true. So brace yourselves for this season because you are not ready for how it goes down. Not only was the story bigger, but the spectacle was as well. Stranger Things has always been known for its remarkable sound design, but this season the visuals were absolutely off the charts. Now be warned, this is also the grossest season by far, and if you had trouble stomaching the gooey entrances to the Upside Down in the past, you may want to keep a trash can next to you, because it gets kinda gory. But don't let that scare you off, because this is an incredible season of Stranger Things. You may also want to keep a box of tissues close at hand because this is an incredibly emotional season. It really pulls at your heartstrings. I'm not one to cry in a lot of movies or TV shows, but this season got me going several times. A large part of the visuals being fantastic this season is due to the camera work. They had some remarkable transitions and some incredible camera movements that really just nail home the drama and the tension of different scenes. And it was just a treat to watch. Another thing this season does incredibly well is its character work. Not because of any one character's arc, but don't get me wrong, there are plenty of great arcs this season, but because of the way it's spread around and it feels like every character gets their time to grow and their time to stand out this season. It just blows me away that they were able to work so many of these characters in and give them incredible stories this season. Also, the new characters that they introduce are so good and you fall in love with them instantly. Now, with all the things that this season does right, it also does have some mistakes. I feel like there are some plot holes and contrivances in order to get certain plot lines going at the beginning. And I also feel like there is a heavy reliance on certain types of drama, and I feel like that particular type of drama can get kind of tiring throughout the season, but they do get worked through really well and all come to different and very strong emotional payoffs. It just felt like a lot of the drama was very similar. Another thing it did was it felt like it relied on some storytelling and some plot beats from previous seasons that maybe shouldn't have come immediately back into play. But it did execute them differently and didn't take away from my enjoyment of the season. All in all, this season is just fantastic, and I enjoyed it as much, if not more, than either of the previous seasons. So I definitely recommend it. It is a 2 thumbs up and also a pinky up from me. Holland is the perfect Spider-Man. I think he balances Peter Parker, Spider-Man, and the tension between them so well, and while we've had other great portrayals in the past, I don't think anyone has done it as well as Tom Holland has, and I love him in this role. He knocks it out of the park in Far From Home, and I enjoyed every minute of this movie. Far From Home was in a really tough spot because it had to follow up Avengers Endgame, which is a very similar position to where Ant-Man and the Wasp was last year after Infinity War. And I think Ant-Man and the Wasp did a fine job because everyone knew it was going to be a very small story. But I think Far From Home really handled the pressure of following Endgame so much better. The movie obviously doesn't live up to the magnitude of Endgame because how could it possibly do that? But it still feels really big for Spider-Man. This movie takes place after Endgame and does a great job showing life for normal people during and after the snap. It also does a great job of showing what the world looks like now that all of the heroes that it once relied on are gone. And really does a good job showing Peter's pain after losing his father figure in the battle against Thanos. Apart from its implications to the rest of the MCU, this film does a great job of marrying the teen comedy genre with the MCU action genre, much like Homecoming did. It's very fun and lighthearted, and Peter has so many wacky characters with him on this field trip, but at the same time he's dealing with a bunch of really real emotions as he's trying to figure out who he is in this new world where everyone looks up to him because there's no longer the Iron Mans or Captain Americas for them to rely on. Zendaya does a great job as MJ and really plays off of Peter really well, and Jake Gyllenhaal absolutely knocks it out of the park as Mysterio. Now, this movie has some of the best Spidey action we have ever seen, but where it really stands out is the graphics. They're like nothing we've ever seen before in the MCU, and not even Doctor Strange comes quite up to the level of these effects that they use in this movie. They just feel so insane and so real at the same time, and it is absolutely mind-blowing to watch some portions of this movie. Now, of course, this movie has its weaknesses, and I feel like there are some times that it drags on certain sections more than they really need to be, particularly one time where the villain is monologuing and it just gets to the point where it's not that important or relevant information that is being shared. Also, there's a little side competition between Peter and another guy that I feel like isn't quite what it should have been, but these weaknesses really don't drag the movie down a whole lot because you have some incredible visual and emotional highs throughout this movie. Now, if you're upset that Endgame didn't have any end credit sequences, well, you're in luck because this movie has two, and both of them I feel are game changers for the MCU, and I'm really excited to see how they play out throughout the future movies and storylines. And I'm incredibly excited to see what they do with Phase 4. I feel like Far From Home was an incredible wrap-up to the Infinity Saga, and I'm really looking forward to what they have planned next. I give this movie 4 narwhals out of 4.3 narwhals. That is very high praise coming from me because I love narwhals, and I also hate them, so you can figure that out. And now, thank you all for watching this video. I had an absolute blast going through these 2 new entries into some of my favorite franchises and was incredibly satisfied with what they turned out to be. Now, if you're interested in hearing more about what I think on Spider-Man Far From Home, I plan on ranking all 8 Spider-Man movies soon. Hopefully that video will come out sometime next week. But until then, have a dope day. That was weird. have come up with something more creative. But